we've got a fair bit going on and a lot of balls in the air. So it's all will be revealed in the coming months.
Welcome to the On the Wall podcast, where we engage in conversations with artists, artisans, designers, and visionaries who shape the world of interiors. Today's guest is Bryce Capp, the co-founder and creative director of the wallpaper company, Milton King. Now, a quick note that this podcast will be having some big changes coming soon. We'll be adding video and switching up the format a bit. I talk about it all a little towards the end of today's conversation, so keep an ear out for that. If you enjoy these conversations, please take a moment to subscribe, leave a rating, leave a review, and share this podcast with a friend. Hey, Bryce, thank you for joining the podcast today.
No worries, Chris. Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Yeah, doing pretty good. I just wanted, before we get into all the sort of current stuff going on with Milton King, I kind of wanted to just not get a ton of background, because I did interview Richard, your brother, co-founder of Milton King, and he talks a lot about where you guys are from and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But I did have a couple of questions about sort of, because you do have obviously a very close working relationship with your brother Richard, and you've grown the company for over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And but I kind of wanted to just get a little bit of the backstory, or just touch a little bit on history. If anybody wants to go back to Richard's interview that was on season 1, episode 9, they can get a lot of the backstory. But when you were growing up, were you always sort of working with your brother? Did you go like in the same circles? Were you competitive growing up, or were you sort of cheering each other on? What was the sort of the dynamic between you and your brother Richard?
So, as you know, Chris, I'm the youngest of 3 brothers, and Richard's the middle one.
Mm-hmm.
We always had a pretty close relationship. Richard and I have had, we've worked together in the past, and we have similar circles of friends, and the gap's only 18 months, so we're almost 2 of the same sort of thing. We run in similar circles, and as a result, that's it gives us our closeness, I guess.
Yeah. So at what point did you guys decide to, because obviously, for those obviously that don't know, Richard's kind of got more of the, I guess, the business brain, and you come from more of a creative background, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I was a graphic designer originally, and did that for many years, and then when we joined partnership, it just worked well in that I had that creative background and he had the accounting and sales sort of side of it covered. So it really worked well. We formed a very good relationship, or very good. What's the word? Dynamic team. Yeah. As a result of those, but our specialties, I guess.
Now, did you always have that creative background, like from when you were little, or was that something that you kind of developed in high school, or when did that sort of creative spark become apparent to you, that you're like, oh, I can do these sorts of things?
Well, I think probably because I was hopeless at everything else. It just sort of came to the fore because I was terrible at maths, and English wasn't great. So I guess the art was a good avenue for me to explore. I'm by no means very artistic, and hence why I'm a graphic designer, I think. But I think it just evolved through being half good at it, and time in the seat.
Wait, so you don't consider yourself artistic?
Well, I wouldn't say that I'm. No, I don't have the skills of someone like Yasmin, for example. I can't paint, or my drawing's not particularly great. I'm just good at doing lining things up on a on a computer. I think that gives me my. I'm good at that, but I've also got a good eye. I think that I can see what I like, and I can see what works, and I think that my background as a designer and has enabled me to do what I do now, I guess.
So it's more of like I don't know, I guess a sense of kind of whether it's a computer screen or a room or a design, kind of just being able to observe the lay of the land, I guess.
Well, I
Not so
guess
much conjuring
yeah,
something out of nothing, as like
no,
what you would think of as like creative arts.
yeah, I guess so. I think the backbone of being a graphic designer lends itself to um, it's adaptable. I guess you spend a lot of time looking at what works or what sells or those sorts of things, how the eye travels through a page and all those sorts of things, and it just allows you to broaden what you do from there.
Were you getting any sort of like training in creative arts at all, or is it all
Uh,
like just tech based or?
I did obviously art all the way through school, and then went to college for a couple of years afterwards to basically learn how to be a graphic designer, and then just sort of 10 years of being a graphic designer allowed me to um, hone my skill. Like I was a pretty poor graphic designer when I first left uni too, so it's just um, it's a skill that you can certainly develop
Mhm.
the more time you just spend at it.
So as you're getting into graphic design, how does wallpaper come into the come into view as being like, oh, this is a good avenue for what I'm doing?
Well, it didn't really. I think it just evolved out of necessity. Like we discovered that there was an opportunity there in wallpaper and wall coverings, and I just basically had to learn how to do it, how to this is 15 years ago now, so put a pattern together and make it repeat and you know work out how to print it. So it was just an evolution of the business, me learning how to develop wallpaper.
So you just saw a hole in the market where you're like, oh, we could do this wallpaper thing.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. We just sort of, um, you know, we were doing other things and we were building websites and stuff very, very early on for other people. And then an opportunity came up that we basically lunged at. Um, and I guess that's how it all started. It was just an opportunity that popped up and we were stubborn enough to keep going with it,
Hmm.
which brings us to where we are now. Stubborn and opportunistic enough, I suppose, to just to keep going.
Yeah. So you're listed as co-founder and creative director for Milton and King.
Yes.
What goes into being a creative director, and how has that changed between when you were first starting the company to what you're doing now? On the Wall is brought to you by Milton and King, the trusted partner for exquisitely crafted luxury wall coverings. Milton and King's trade program is designed to make your creative process seamless, providing exclusive trade-only benefits, which includes complimentary samples, early access to new collections, and professional pricing structured to enhance your business success. To assist with your projects, you'll have the flexibility to curate your own custom swatch book, tailored specifically to your design needs. With dedicated customer support every step of the way, our trade program is here to elevate your design vision and simplify your journey from inspiration to installation. Ready to join a partner who understands your craft? Visit miltonandking.com to apply for your trade account today. Milton and King, your vision, our craftsmanship.
Well, it's changed dramatically. It's my role has changed dramatically over the course of 15 years or whatever it's been. It's originally I started off, working out how to put patterns together with no clue about the industry at all. I hadn't really had any education around wallpaper except for what we'd seen and sort of researched along as we started. So it was just putting together patterns that we kind of like the look of. And then the role kind of evolved. It went more into building a website for us to sell our product on, to then working at how to automate email flows and SMSs and Instagram and advertising. And so I sort of slipped away from being any sort of creative director, I guess, into more marketing. And it's only been the last few years as we've put on more staff and my role has then shifted again back to being more focused on the direction of our collections and where we want to position ourselves through our designs. So it's only really changed in the last few years that's become my main focus again, which is
Come
great.
full circle.
It has. I mean, I've got much more of an idea now, so it's hopefully what we're producing now is 1,000 times better than it was 15 years ago. But it's more enjoyable. Like we understand what the industry is and how it works now, and what it is we need to produce to be competitive and ahead of the market a little bit if we can. So, and our technology's improved too, not just production wise and what we can achieve on printed material, but just how we make it and how we set files up and all those sorts of things has improved over the course of the time.
Now, a big part of Milton and King's brand, I suppose, or I guess, because you were putting together a lot of the designs early on, but you've also worked with all sorts of artists from all over the world. Has that sort of curation changed over the years, or is it just a matter of following the trends?
No, it definitely has changed. So originally, I was picking and choosing artists that basically I like the look of that, and again, I was landing on that graphic design background. So there was stuff there that was pretty unique to what we were producing. There was a lot of the early murals and a lot of the early designs were pretty out there. You could consider. So I guess that has evolved. We've become more of we've fallen more in line with what the market has traditionally done and the way it's heading now. We still do some pretty out there stuff with some of our artists that do push the boundaries a bit, and often some of those are our best sellers. So I guess that graphic design background and being new to market and not having any ties to tradition as such. So because we're such a new brand, we really were able to do whatever we wanted. We weren't William Morris and had to make things look like William Morris for the last 100 years. We had no ties to that historical look. So we've been fortunate. We've really been able to test the waters and do stuff that we like the look of.
So in some ways, it almost sounds like what some people can get involved in is they call it audience capture, where you sort of built a name on appealing to a certain, I don't know if you call it demographic or a certain fan base or whatever it is. And then you're sort of in some ways stuck because you're constantly trying to appeal to that group of people. And you're saying that you don't really have that.
No,
sort of,
well,
yeah.
I don't think we do, because we have such a big library of collections, and that is as a result of working with many different artists that have different styles and different techniques and different interests of their own. So we have a vast collection. So we've never really had a particular theme that we've sort of stuck to. We have a big broad range of collections that hit different sections of the market. So we've got some that focus on more of an industrial look as opposed to some traditional type designs, and then the designs that you wouldn't expect to see on wallpaper. So we've got a big ecosystem of designs that is pretty broad, I think, and that also is a result of our production techniques. In that, our speed to markets, our speed from initial concept to market is quick and easy. So we can put a design up on our website and without much fanfare and effort. And if it doesn't sell, it doesn't sell. But if it does, that's a win. So whereas traditionally you'd be forecasting years ahead to try and get collections out using analog machinery and old techniques. So we've got that advantage, just on the market through our first principles, I guess. So we're pretty lucky there.
Mm-hmm. How do you balance between, I guess, being a company, as a creative director, you're curating what sort of designs are being offered and everything. How do you balance being a design forward company where you're putting out designs that maybe are setting the trends as opposed to just filling holes in the market where you're like, oh, people are looking for this, so let's give them that? How do you balance those two things?
Yeah, it's a trick. Like it's a team effort, obviously. So we take.
Is there a priority from one or the other?
I wouldn't say there is. I mean, from the design team's point of view, I don't think there is. We're designing stuff or collections and designs that we see holes in our catalogue, but also of forecasting what we think is happening in terms of trends and what's what other brands are doing and trying to respond quicker and just better than what they are. I guess I think that's probably the main focus. But then we also lean on our e-commerce team to give us data and use data to of no search results and those sorts of things that we get from Google and from the website itself to create designs that we don't have that people are searching for. So there's a couple of ways we do it, and they're probably the two major. And then obviously when we have an artist that approaches us with a range that we think is something that we can sell, there's also that input as well.
Because I would imagine you would get lots of artists, surface pattern designers, and painters or whatever that are approaching Milton and King wanting to create designs either as a freelancer or work for the company. What are you sort of looking at when somebody sends you a portfolio?
Well, we do get a lot. Yeah, we do get a lot. And obviously they vary in skill and ability. Basically, what we look for when someone sends us a collection, and very rarely, to be honest, do we take a collection that's been cold called, so to speak. We generally, working with artists, is generally we source the artist. We have a collection in mind that we want, and then we find the artist that can achieve that look. Whether or not they're a surface designer or a textile designer or a graphic designer or an artist, we'll actively find that person rather than really taking on too many submissions. Yeah, that's generally how we do it. Very rarely, I don't think we've taken on a submission, to be honest.
Yeah. So you've recently moved from Toowoomba, Queensland in Australia to like a southern coastal town in the UK.
Yep.
What prompted the move?
Basically just to get, as you know, Toowoomba's regional Queensland. It's not a huge interior design mecca. So I guess it was just a case of getting into the market, being a bit more visible in the market, and just seeing, and burying ourselves in it. It's hard to be creative director from Toowoomba, but we've got a team over here that's in the UK that I also needed to be closer to and help guide and just bounce ideas around and all those sorts of things in real time rather than over the internet.
Because there's production in Australia and there's production in the US. What goes on in the UK? Is it just?
So we've got a design studio over here. So this is where all the collections get crafted, I guess. So that's the main role of the UK, and obviously customer support and sampling and so on as well, and trying to build up the sales in the region. So it's an office / studio for our trade reps as well.
Now, when you made, because how long ago was that move? You moved, what is it,
Well,
last year?
September 1st, we landed. Yep.
Okay, so it hasn't been that long.
No.
Once you, I guess, being there the last, I guess, what has it been, 7-8 months or something like that?
Mhm.
What has your perspective changed at all in terms of from being in Australia to being in the UK, and I guess diving into or being influenced by the interior world in the UK? Has your sort of perspective changed at all?
I'm going to say no, it hasn't. You can do a hell of a lot of research, and you can see a lot of the market from a computer screen. What you can't do is visit trade shows, particularly these European ones, where the traditional um, brands, those brands that have been around forever, are launching new collections and so on. So like there's, I guess, just consuming some of that is something you can't do in Australia. But each region, each zone has its own design influence, so it's really just getting to know the details and the differences, I guess, between those regions, which has probably been good in that, if you look at the UK, for example, they're right into, the heritage. They like the prestige and the authenticity of their interiors, and then you might compare that to Australians that they appreciate the more green angle and the environmental stewardship a bit more, and whereas other
Oh, that's
countries,
interesting.
yeah, don't probably lean that way as much. So it's each little region has its nuances, that's for sure.
What are some of the countries in Europe or that you've noticed that I guess either have a big wallpaper market or sort of pay attention to it in the way that the UK does?
Well, I guess if you look at what the Italians are doing, that they have some brands over there that do some amazing things, that probably aren't quite as mass production as what the UK does, but definitely more intricate and luxurious.
Hmm.
The French do some pretty amazing wall coverings as well. So, your traditional design places, it's where your clothes come from is traditionally where your classy interiors stuff comes from too.
Hmm. So you mentioned that Australia pays a lot of attention to sort of the environmental side of things. So you're not seeing a lot of that being in the UK or throughout Europe in the same way?
Well, definitely it is in Europe, but I think it's the guess the Australians like to know where their products coming from, and how it's being created and manufactured.
Why do you think
Um,
that is?
I don't know. Is it because they don't make anything themselves, and they're conscious of just where it's produced and how it's produced?
So you think because Australia imports a lot from the rest of the world that they're more mindful of it, maybe?
Yeah, potentially. Maybe it's a lifestyle. Um, the spiritedness, the cultural, the outdoorsiness of it all. I don't know. Who knows?
Hmm.
But it's
Well,
just
I find it interesting because that's been a big, I don't want to say selling point, but it's been a big aspect of Milton and King, whether it's the papers or the inks and low carbon footprint. That's been sort of a big part of the voice of Milton and King so far. Do you think that has a lot to do with just being an Australian brand?
well, I think it has a lot to do with how we've grown and developed from our production standpoint. I think we're a bit more agile. We have the multiple factories that reduces our transport footprint and all those sorts of shipping things. I guess it's just evolved from that more than anything, in that it's been a conscious approach for us to reduce our footprint as such.
On the Wall is brought to you by Milton King, the trusted partner for exquisitely crafted luxury wall coverings. Ready to join a partner who understands your craft? Visit miltonandking.com to apply for your trade account today. Milton & King, your vision, our craftsmanship.
Yeah. Are there, when you're taking into account, what's happening in the UK or Italy or France and that sort of thing, are there any particular trends in design or in wallpaper that you're kind of got your eye on or you're paying attention to or that excites you?
There's a few going on that we've got our eye on. Our upcoming autumn winter collection will hopefully answer some of those questions. I don't want to give too much away, Chris, but we've got a fair bit going on and a lot of balls in the air. So it's all will be revealed in the coming months.
Well, that's pretty cool.
It is cool.
Is there sort of anything else like in the pipeline that you can talk about
We're also working on all those new grounds that we have. So we've got a big catalogue of metallics, silvers and golds coming out, as well as the grass cloths and a decorative textile, which is a pretty cool ground as well. So basically, at the moment, what we're doing is we're selecting from our current catalogue and just working out which designs would look amazing on grass cloth and offering those across the grass cloth as well. As time progresses, we'll be designing specifically for those grounds, and building out the library of those bases. So that's pretty exciting. It certainly opens up the opportunities from a design point of view. We'll be able to do a lot more.
Yeah, very cool. Well, lots of exciting things happening at Milton & King. How do you, just sort of wrapping up here, how do you like living in the UK?
Oh, it's good. It's it's not a lot different to Australia in most things. It's probably more communal, I guess, in that you're out and about because you're walking and you're catching buses, and it's smaller, or it's more close together, I guess, than Australia, for example. So you're not in your car as much. You're out and about in public a lot more, and I guess as a result of that, it's more communal in that you're in and out of restaurants and cafes and pubs and all those sorts of things a lot more. The weather's obviously not real flash, to say the least, but and again, because you're out and about all the time, you're out and about in it more often, so that you're in the elements a bit more. Apart from that, the kids are starting. Like Mackenzie's got a slight English accent, which is a bit cute.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a few things that we don't generally, so that's been nice, I guess. Hudson swears that he's not picking anything up, and he gets angry if you say that he is. So
for anybody listening, we should probably say, so you're married and you have 2 children.
Yes,
Hudson and Hudson, who's had wallpaper named after him, and Mackenzie.
And Mackenzie, that's right.
And how old are they?
Hudson's almost 10 and Mackenzie's 6, just turned 6.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
and that's got to be really interesting when when one of your children start having an accent that it's not coming from you.
Oh, I know. It's going to make Christmas very exciting when Mackenzie and Hudson have an English accent and Richard and his kids have little Texan accents.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah. No one's going to be able to pick out where you guys are from. You're just going to be like,
no. Except for
how is it you guys are related?
Except for our oldest brother's kids, who have just got the rawest Australian accents.
Yeah, that will be interesting.
It will be.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Chris. And by the way, I love your pod. You do a great job with it.
Oh, thanks. Well, yeah, we're going to be. I'll probably drop in a little notice at the beginning of this podcast. But yeah, we're going to be going to video and having more guests and co-hosts and a format change and all sorts of different things happening coming up. So this might actually be the last audio only podcast.
No, that's probably a good thing for me then.
For a little while. I thought about it. I was like, oh, I wonder if Bryce wants to be on the video, but I know you too well.
I must say I've been waiting for my invitation, considering Richard was in season 1.
Yeah, it only took us 3 to get to you. But I'm glad we finally had you on, because I do feel like it rounds out this I guess period of the podcast really well before we make some big changes going forward. So thanks again for hopping on and giving me some of your time over in the UK.
My pleasure, Chris. Talk to you soon.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
All right, bye.